to On the Turf, hosted by three guys. Well, four guys. Four guys who've never been on the turf. My name is Arjun.
I'm Rohan Patel.
Whoa. Last, buddy. You came here last.
I thought last is honorary. I wanted to leave that for you.
He gets like the and credit. And Kamil. And Kamil are doing
Arjun, you're the host. You go first.
Oh, well, I'd like to think of all of us as
kind of
hosts, but
expendable.
I appreciate
I go in the
it.
middle, and then Rohan last.
Actually, I do like saying it. I'm Rohan Patel.
Okay, just introduce yourself because no one knows who you are.
And I'm Kamil and Danny.
Okay, well, Shree, again, isn't here with us. The hope is that Shree will come back next week.
The hope is Shree will come back.
Yeah, we're really hoping. Maybe I'll go back to three people on the turf. Who knows? We'll see. No, Shree is jet-lagged after his trip to India. Looks like he had a good time, and he'll be back for the divisional round as we approach the Super Bowl. We had a very fun Week 18. Kamil, both of our teams have punched a ticket.
Oh, it was a great
Thank
time.
you, Mike Vrabel and the Titans.
Love that guy.
And the Steelers will be playing the Bills this week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be talking about that later on.
We will.
I'm excited to talk about that. Rohan, the Cardinals, the real season begins now in the offseason. Going to be a fun offseason for...
I'm looking forward to getting Marvin Harrison Jr. already.
Looks like it might be.
My chops.
Yeah. And before we talk about all the playoff matchups and all the fun we're going to have in Week 18 or in the playoffs with these 14 teams, we had a very, very big coaching cycle these past 4 days. Just earlier today, we were recording this on Thursday, just kind of going most recent to most not recent. I'm forgetting what the word for that would be. But Bill Belichick, 24 seasons as the Patriots head coach, is now done in New England. Just about 12 hours before that, not pro football, but college football, the GOAT coach of college football, Nick Saban, retired from Alabama. Earlier that day, Pete Carroll is out as the Seahawks head coach, fired basically, but he got Bruce Arians into the front office. And earlier this week, probably the most surprising one, if not for Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel getting fired from the Titans. So, and in addition to that, forgot about the one big coach who's been in the cycle basically since the beginning, Jim Harbaugh, who won national championship. So that's a lot of coaches out there, a lot of other coaches looking to make moves, and a lot of vacancies. Let's start with Belichick. Where do you guys think he's going to go and what the Patriots might do without him going forward?
Well, I mean, start off, I think Belichick still got a lot left in the tank. I saw some reports that said he was open to staying in New England and giving up the GM role. And obviously wherever he goes next, I think he'll have that same type of thing. I think he's going to be okay with that. He wants to keep coaching. I saw him floated to something like the Falcons, which would be an interesting space if they can get the right quarterback. I don't know where he goes, honestly. I think that there's quite a few options. The Chargers are another one that comes to mind. So he'll end up somewhere and turn them into a contender, hopefully. The Patriots, it looks like Gerard Mayo is supposed to be the incoming candidate. Yeah. I mean, I read an article that's like Mayo, I mean, he got extended with the intent essentially that they were keeping him to be the next head coach. But with Vrabel now on the market, I think makes it a much tougher decision, considering he's played for the Patriots. He has that coaching experience, and I think he is a very good coach. We'll talk about that in a second, but very questionable decision from the Titans, I thought.
Yeah, let me just start by saying that I'm very glad that this day has finally come. It's been many years, and it has subsided in past years, but it's been many years of torture on the part of Bill Belichick, and the bad man is finally gone. With that being said, I don't know where Belichick is going to end up. I certainly agree he still has a lot left in the tank. Definitely not as a general manager, but absolutely as a head coach. And I don't see him going to the Chargers just because that ownership it's a bit of a joke, and they're not going to shell out or show the respect to a coach of Belichick's caliber that he would demand. So I'm thinking somewhere like the Falcons might be a good option. He could get a fresh start, pick his quarterback, hop into an offense that has many pieces, a defense that is honestly could be top 3 with Belichick coaching them. And as far as the Patriots go, listen, I get Vrabel's attractive, but I feel like it would be in their best interest to both ignore Vrabel and Mayo and just go for a new, fresh start philosophically, because chasing the Belichick style of coaching and trying to keep that going in New England, I don't think is tenable. and I think it's going to leave them in just a rut of mediocrity if they try to replace that.
Really, I think I honestly don't hate the Gerard Mayo idea.
I mean, we don't know what he is though.
You don't know what he is, but I think there's something about that. I mean, he knows the Patriot way. He should be. I mean, he's been in this coaching staff and on the team for years. He knows Belichick. He knows he should know hopefully how to run that defense at least, and have that culture, the Patriots culture. If you can get a GM that has the right talent, then this could be a competitive team. I mean, this was a competitive team down the stretch, I thought. Mm-hmm. Their defense played lights out, despite many injuries. Their offense simply just didn't have talent. And I think if you can bring in a good GM, a new GM who knows how to bring in talent, I don't know. I don't hate the idea of keeping in this culture.
I think the one thing I'll say to that is we've seen how almost like clockwork, every single coordinator who's worked under Belichick has flamed out as a head coach. Mm-hmm. Brian Flores, Matt Patricia, Joe Judge. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's more I'm forgetting about as well. But all of them have not been good when they're not working under Belichick. Yeah. So how much, especially that defense, how much of that is just Belichick being the greatest defensive mind that we've ever seen in the game? And one final point on him specifically and where he might go, I agree the Falcons seems like the most tenable spot right now. Seems like Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, wants some real stability there. But what I'll say, maybe this is a hot take, either one of those NFC East teams, the Eagles or the Cowboys, if either one of them suffer embarrassing first-round exits, I would agree more with the Eagles than the Cowboys. I think McCarthy's done a good enough job these past 3 seasons and has shown some consistency. But, Jerry Jones wants a win soon. Yeah. And we know he likes Belichick. I'm just saying, either one of those teams lose in round one, I wouldn't be surprised if Belichick.
Eagles are willing to move on from Sirianni. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles have been very. Yeah, I mean.
Reports, yeah.
And they moved on
makes sense.
They moved on from Andy Reid after one bad season. They moved on Chip Kelly after one bad season. They moved off Doug Peterson after one bad season. I mean, this is an 11-6 team.
Belichick, he wants to hit the wins record as well.
Exactly, he wants Shula's record.
He gives it to him.
Yeah, it could be fine. And Jalen Hurts seems like Belichick's ideal QB in terms of just mindset and. I mean, it sounds like Belichick at the podium. But outside of Belichick, let's talk about Vrabel and Harbaugh. Carroll seems to be out and is done coaching. It seems, based on his initial remarks. I think the big one here is Harbaugh. I think, for me, Harbaugh makes any team an automatic contender. He won a national championship with Michigan. He took the Niners to 3 NFC championships. I like him at the Chargers. I think he loves Justin Herbert. I hope the Chargers... I think it's a question of, can the Chargers shell out enough money for Harbaugh? I think Harbaugh makes them automatic contenders for a team that's always thought to be contenders, but never really does so. But what do you guys think Harbaugh and Vrabel, where they might be going? I know we've talked about Vrabel to the Patriots, but any other destinations you guys think?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm glitching out there for a second. I think the Chargers make the most sense. They are the most ready to compete team. And add that in with good location, great quarterback. It's obviously the most appealing. I mean, I'm looking at the other teams on this list that have openings, and I mean, I don't really know where Vrabel fits in right now, honestly. I mean, you look at the Panthers, I think they're looking for a more offensive-minded coach to get Bryce Young along. You look at the Commanders, I'm not really sure what they're looking for, but will Mike Vrabel even want to go coach the Commanders? I don't think it's one of the more enticing jobs out there. And then the Raiders, who shouldn't be in this market much longer if they just stick with Antonio Pierce as they should. So I don't know where Vrabel ends up, honestly. Maybe he has to go be a defensive coordinator somewhere, which is really a shame because I think he is head coaching caliber. Maybe he waits a cycle and something else opens up next year. I don't know, but I mean, I don't see an obvious spot for him on this list of open teams right now.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you, Rohan. I really don't know where he would go on this list. I think he might just F off and take the year off.
We've seen coaches of his caliber do that. McCarthy and Peterson.
Because I don't think Vrabel is the caliber of coach where he should be going in DC, and he shouldn't be a coordinator. He should be a head coach, and he should wait for the opportunity to come in the right position with a team that's ready to win. Because just looking at the teams on these lists, it's all essentially teams that are going to have to go through rebuilds, except for maybe the Seahawks. But I don't know if the Seahawks, if Vrabel is something that the Seahawks are looking for as a long-term
the Seahawks
coach.
look like they're locked in on Dan Quinn.
Mhm.
For like early reports are saying that Dan Quinn is a leading candidate.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing what you were talking about with the Patriots. Like, I don't understand the Dan Quinn decision. To me, it seems like you're trying to chase something
Yeah.
that used to be there. I mean, if you want to move on from the Pete Carroll regime, fully move on from it.
Yeah.
Wipe your hands clean, move on, and charter a new future. But the Seahawks are ready to win, so
Yeah.
maybe that's the kind of move they're looking for. But yeah, this coaching cycle is going to be really interesting. I assume in the next coming weeks we're going to see a lot of these jobs get filled. First the GM jobs probably in the next couple weeks, and then these big coaching positions. Going to be interesting. But let's talk about what we want to really talk about this week. Wild Card Weekend, one of the most fun weekends in the NFL season. 14 teams. All of them have a shot, yes, including the Pittsburgh Steelers, to make a run. I'm trying to convince myself.
They do technically have a shot.
Yeah. But we saw, I think everything kind of shaked out in Week 18 how we thought it would in terms of the teams making it in. I don't think there were any surprising omissions, except maybe the Jaguars.
The Jaguars, yeah.
Yeah, but I think all of us agreed.
They were garbage.
Yeah.
They were they were ass.
And I think the right teams made it in the AFC. I'm really
I
happy
agree.
that CJ Stroud and the Texans made it in. And let's start there, actually. The Cleveland Browns, our first game of Wild Card Weekend. Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. Joe Flacco in his first Wild Card game in, I believe, 9 years. It's the longest distance between two playoff berths for a starting QB. CJ Stroud played amazing. AFC Offensive Player of the Week again. He looks like a veteran out there. Cleveland is favored by 2.5 points. What's your guys' initial read on this game as we enter Wild Card Weekend?
I think that's good. I think this could be the best game of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the game with the two closest matched opponents. And I mean, the storylines are great. Obviously, C.J. Stroud, Joe Flacco, and both of these teams, I think, or the Browns obviously have a really great defense. Texans, I think, have an underrated defense. They're young. They play with a lot of energy. They have a great run defense. They got really, they have young talent in terms of Will Anderson on the edge, Derek Stingley at cornerback. I think that this game is going to be a lot closer than people think it will be. I think people are looking at the Browns as not a juggernaut of sorts, but I think that they're looking at them as like contenders to make the Super Bowl, where in reality I think that this is not a team they can overlook. It's a young Texans team, but they're a very good Texans team and very well coached. I don't know. The Browns secondary has also looked suspect at times, and this could be a game where C.J. Stroud really is able to make his mark through the air.
I'm very conflicted on this one, but I'm gonna trust the Texans here and C.J. Stroud. He's already essentially played in a playoff game last week, played phenomenal against a good Colts team to secure the playoffs. I don't think he's the type of guy, again, I've said it before, that shrinks in front of the lights or plays worse under pressure. And I think that as great as the Browns story with Joe Flacco has been, I think come playoff time when they're playing more serious teams like the Texans, is going to be a little bit more difficult for them. And I'm going to take the young gun over the old wise man. As much as I would love to see Joe Flacco win, I will take the Texans here. I just have too much faith in C.J. Stroud in that offense, and I think Flacco's due for a little bit of regression.
So, Rohan, who are you picking? The Texans?
I mean, I don't know, because the Texans also play close games too. The game against the Colts, I would have hoped they'd have won that a little more comfortably.
No, I mean, they were one drop pass away from possibly losing. That,
exactly, right? and the Browns are better than the Colts.
Colts are a good team.
Colts are a good team.
Well-coached team. I don't know. I think the Browns have them in personnel.
Yeah, I agree.
Still a tough game.
Yeah, but I don't know. Put the Texans at home. I'll take the upset here. I'll take C.J. Stroud. Why not?
I'm gonna be the only one who takes the Browns here.
I'll go final score 27-24. But no, I mean the Browns pick makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
But just something is telling me telling me not to sleep on this Texans
C.J.
team.
Stroud at home. He's gonna be fired up.
Look, I'll just say this: the Browns' defense away. This is an argument in favor of the Texans, actually. But the Browns' defense away is a different defense than they are at home. In terms of their yardage statistics, completely, I guess, jump up in terms of how efficient their defense is when they're at home. But look, experience is king in the playoffs, and I think
Yeah.
you'll see that reflected in my picks later on as well. In terms of,
Yeah.
I think young teams tend to lose early on in these playoffs just because again, you're giving Stefanski and Joe Flacco. They had the week off last week. They've had basically 2 weeks to prepare for this Texans team. And I think Stefanski has proved himself to be one of the best coaches in the league this year with what a job he's doing. And I trust them to come out with a good game plan. We forget CJ Stroud didn't play in this game, but just I think 3 weeks ago in week 16, they played the Texans and Amari Cooper went off for 260 yards. And
point.
that was CJ Stroud's not playing defense. You know what I mean? Granted, that game's probably a lot closer with CJ Stroud in it, but Joe Flacco was completely dotting up this Texans defense, and I think they can do it again. So I'm gonna take the Browns here. I think it's a close game, but I like the experience. I like the coaching matchup, and I'm sick for this Texans team because I would love to see them win. But
they'll have a lot. They'll have a lot more chances.
Yeah,
in
they'll
the
be
future.
better.
They'll be fine.
But let's move on to the next Saturday night game, exclusively on Peacock for whatever reason.
Dolphins got banished to Peacock.
I guess so. And I think more than anything, Roger Goodell wants those the Taylor Swift fans to buy Peacock because it's Dolphins at Chiefs. The Dolphins, as Kamil and I predicted last week, as we've been predicting really this whole season, if we're being honest,
for months now.
Shrunk under the big lights against a better team.
No,
what are you going to say now? What are you going to say, Rohan? What excuses do you have?
Okay, hold on. Let's not say this entire Dolphins team shrunk under the light. Okay, their offense did. Okay, their offense performed under par, but again, they lost their second best wide receiver. Top running back is out. Offensive line's been banged up, and Tyreek Hill was also banged up at points in that game. Their defense still played lights out, which is incredibly impressive when you're missing your top two edge rushers, Bradley Chubb,
Josh Allen
Jalen
put up
Phillips.
440 yards of
lights
offense.
They gave up
It was
14
opportune
points.
plays.
14
It was
points.
opportune plays.
Come on, 14 points,
You had-
forced
you
and
had-
three
you had-
turnovers.
Josh Allen shot himself in the foot multiple
You had the
times.
Cook,
Okay, come
you had
on,
the Cook
come
touchdown
on.
Drop. You had the Cook touchdown drop. Johnson got stopped right by the end zone. To
Exactly, yeah.
Good
440 yards of
plays.
offense
No,
by
it's a good
Josh Allen.
defensive play for sure.
But anyway.
Okay, sorry. When I've thrown out stats like offensive yards and stuff, you tell me that it's more than the stats.
What? Anyway,
Anyways,
let's not get sidetracked on Dolphins Bills because we'll talk about the Bills later.
Okay.
But anyway, the Dolphins
Chiefs
are limping. I think it's accurate
They're
to
still
say
limping into
they
the
are
playoffs.
limping,
Yeah,
very
they're
much
in the
limping into
playoffs.
these playoffs. Injuries have taken the toll on this team, and they're going to Kansas City to face a Chiefs team that is more vulnerable than ever. This team is not by any means lighting it up, but the weather in this game is forecast to be absolutely terrible. I think it's going to be -15.
It's -30 with the wind chill.
-30 with the wind chill.
Yeah.
Tickets are like $60 for a home playoff game in Arrowhead, which is crazy. But I can't wait to watch this game on my couch. But I mean, everything to me just seems like it's lining up against the Dolphins here.
Yeah.
They're a team that plays way better at home in their nice Miami weather than they do away in cold weather. This Chiefs team is experienced. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is out of this world, and it just seems like everything is against the Dolphins. But Rohan, is there anything that would convince you that the Dolphins can win this game?
Not much. I mean, I think for all the reasons you mentioned, I'm not that high on the Dolphins. That being said, this game will be close. This Dolphins defense, I said it last week, and you guys are going to... I'm not even going to argue on this point, but this Dolphins defense, it proved my point, quite frankly. This Dolphins defense is good. They make big plays. They get pressure on the quarterback. They force turnovers. Again, that's doing it all without their cornerback two, without their two leading edge rushers. They lost Andrew Van Ginkel to their third edge rusher. So this is a defense that I don't know what it is. They have good scheme. They know how to play, but they're playing hard. They're playing well. So I think, and with the Chiefs offense, it's struggling. I think that they'll play well too. And remember, they held this Chiefs team to 21 points just a few earlier this year.
Well, it was 14 actually. They had a defensive touchdown.
Okay, 14 points, yeah. In the Frankfurt game in Germany a few weeks ago. So I think this will be a pretty close game. It'll be a low-scoring game when you add on the weather as well. But yeah, I just don't think Tua's going to be throwing the ball that well in this weather. And I trust it's Patrick Mahomes. I trust Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
I'm gonna take the Dolphins.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. You've been climbing on the Dolphins all year.
I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you why. I think if McDaniel sticks to the running game, then I think the Dolphins win this game. Just because that two-headed monster of Mostert and Achane, in the cold especially, is going to be nigh unstoppable to the feet. And when you look at the Chiefs' passing game compared to the Dolphins' passing game, I'm going to be amazed if the Chiefs get like more than 5 completions.
Tony's hands are already bricks. They're really frozen.
Yeah, Tony's hands are going to snap off when the ball touches him. And I think the Chiefs, we're grossly underestimating the struggles that the Chiefs are having offensively, and we're just expecting Mahomes to just turn it on and the offense as a whole to just turn it on come playoff time, but we just haven't seen that. And I think at this point in this year, they are what they are. And I don't think a negative 30-degree game is suddenly going to snap them into remembering how to play elite top 5 football. For that reason, give me the Dolphins. This offensive line has been playing remarkably well still, even with the injuries, especially in the running game. Last week against the Bills, it felt like they were ripping off every single run for 5 yards plus. They just stopped leaning on it for whatever reason. But I think in the cold, even when they do lean on the passing game, I still trust Tyreek, Jalen Waddle to make the plays when they need to. There's nobody on the Chiefs that I really trust to do that. I think Mahomes, combined with the weather, is he's going to be not panicking, but it's going to be a little rough for him to find the outlets in the passing game. Give me the Dolphins in a close one, like 14-10. It's going to be a hellish game.
Yeah, it's not going to be a fun game.
I think that's a compelling argument. I will say, I just think the Dolphins, McDaniel's shown this for the past 2 years. He tends to drop the run pretty quickly. Does. And I feel like at this point it's more of a behavior than it is something that can be corrected.
I just feel he won't have a choice.
Maybe. I guess so. I think, Rohan, you articulated it well. Like, I think I agree. The defense is better. I think Tua, the timing of the routes in the cold is going to be altered. And when Tua's timing is off, the offense struggles. So I'll take the Chiefs here. I'll say 14-7. I think it's going to be a rough game out there. Yeah. But let's move on to really the best game of the weekend.
Is it?
The Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, that's the wrong coat. The Pittsburgh Steelers are taking on the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, which apparently it might be moved to Cleveland. Apparently, if there's too much snow, I saw a report.
Come on,
there's too much snow, it might be moved to Cleveland.
You can't have good things.
So the Cleveland Browns might have, not Cleveland Browns, but Cleveland might have its first home playoff game in 30 years. And if there's anyone who knows how to play at Cleveland, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll go on this. I'll talk about this game really quickly. I've been remarkably proven wrong by the Steelers team for the third year in a row. I'm not sure how we made it here. Mike Tomlin has some weird thing, and I'd say this every year. I'm not going to question him again. But I feel like this year I'm really not going to question him ever again. Does he need to change his offensive philosophy? Maybe a little bit. But he shouldn't be fired. Anyway.
You remember when we had this conversation a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
And I was like, trust me, dude, it's not that bad. Yeah. Your team looked really rough after the Cardinals and Patriots lost.
It's just Mitch Trubisky.
It was just Mitch.
It was just Mitch Trubisky. Because this offense.
You could be 12-5 if you won those games.
Completely, man. I think about that every day.
That's wild.
Mason Rudolph, guys. Mason Rudolph might be the best quarterback this team has. But I think if it's a snowy game, which it looks like it might be, I think the Steelers' offense has found an identity at this point. They're a rough, ground and pound team. Najee Harris is running hard. Jalen Warren is running hard. George Pickens and Deontay Johnson will make big plays if they have to. And Mason Rudolph can throw the deep ball. Now, elephant in the room, TJ Watt is out. And this Bills team, I've been high on them all year. I think this Bills team is going to be coming in there with something to prove. I think they're coming in, they're motivated. It's going to be a tough out. I'm hedging my bets because I'm going to pick the Bills, but I'm going to root for the Steelers. So either way, I win.
Do you win either way, Arjun?
I do. Well, I don't. I win slightly less.
Slightly? I'd be devastated if my team lost in the playoffs.
I'm just preparing myself for the eventual reality that we might lose. So if we do win, I'm overjoyed. Anyway, I think the Steelers have a path to winning here. If they run the ball effectively, if they, stop the run with Josh Allen, force him into a couple mistakes, which he can be prone to doing, make this a game like last year's wildcard game in Buffalo, except we have a better coaching staff and offense than what that Dolphins team did last year with Skylar Thompson. We can win this game. Give me Highsmith, give me Herbig, give me Mason Rudolph. Bills win 17-14.
I'll let you finish, Kamil, or I'll let you go last.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like you said, like this could be a closer game than we expect it to be. The Steelers are playing well. My only thing is that without their tone setter on defense, it's tough to imagine a way to win this game. If TJ Watt's playing, I think I seriously consider picking the Steelers.
Oh, I would pick them.
But I mean, what's the record without him? Like 1-11 or something in the last two seasons.
It's bad. Last year we got wiped by the Bills without TJ Watt, 38-3.
Yeah, and I mean like their offense, I think, can make noise. I think if their running game is playing well, then sure. If Josh Allen's making mistakes, then maybe. But without TJ Watt playing, I think those mistakes are less likely to occur. So I'll pick the Bills here. I'll say 20-13.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bills as well. In
Shocker.
A shocking pick for me. I think on defense, McDermott has this defense really well coached. They're getting healthy at the right time as well.
You too. You were Harbaugh, not McDermott a few weeks ago.
No, I was.
No.
And I take it back.
Both of you.
Because the guy just didn't know how to win close games.
We both have no idea what to feel about our defensive coaches.
Yeah, he didn't know how to win close games, and he won them. Like, okay, I guess. But no, on defense, this side of the football is playing lights out. They've been consistently shutting down elite offenses throughout the year, and I don't think McDermott, for all the talents he has, I don't think Mason Rudolph is going to be the guy to break McDermott's defense, especially with DaQuan Jones back. He had a phenomenal game. I'm sure you were watching.
I was watching DaQuan Jones.
You finally realized who DaQuan Jones
is. Now you know. That defensive line looks impeccable.
Was he playing at an all-pro level?
Oh, I would say so, yes.
Just like everyone else in the Bills' defense, according to Kamil.
It's a good defense. It's a good defense.
It's an elite defense. Yeah, I feel good on the defensive side of the ball. And on the offensive side of the ball, hey, Josh Allen, that second half, he said sometime after the game that it was the best the ball was coming out of his hands all year. And if you look at the stats, it backs it up. He went 14 for 15, 140 something yards and a touchdown. He was playing well. He had great runs. As well, and it seemed like it was playoff Josh in the sense that he was there and he was willing to do whatever it takes to get the win, secure that win, and playing with great decision making those big plays, making those great down the field throws. So that encouraged me a lot. And I think we're going to see more of that. I think the Bills are very motivated. They're going to be riding high after claiming that division, having the 2 seed, having home field advantage into the Ravens. And I think they're going to come out. They've heard the talk about winning close games. I think they're going to want to make a statement and play a complete full game. I think that's the time to do in the playoffs. As good as the Steelers are as a team, I think the Bills are going to come out playing to the best of their potential. And I think it's going to be a 31-17 type game. 31-17.
Please don't do that, Steelers. Don't do that. Make it at least competitive. Let's have some fun. Next, at 4 o'clock, it's a ratings dream for Fox Sports. The Green Bay Packers are headed to Dallas to face the Cowboys. I really wish Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were calling this game, honestly. It just feels like they should be.
Are they not? Or what do they call it?
On ESPN.
They're on ESPN, so they'll be calling
I forgot.
Eagles Buccaneers, possibly the least intriguing game of the weekend.
ESPN is just always the worst product.
Yeah.
Did you hear about what they did today?
What?
But they're fake Emmys.
No.
They so apparently for some it's sidebar where this podcast going in a different direction, but ESPN their like game day programming, like College Game Day or whatever, right? That's won multiple Emmys in the past.
Yeah.
But for like best sports show or whatever. But those Emmys can't go towards the actual personalities who are like on the show on the set. Okay. They can only go to like the background people.
Yeah.
Because the personalities get their own awards for like best host or whatever not.
Yeah.
So they don't want double dipping. But what ESPN would do is in the credits they'd list fake names. And it would be the names of the people who are the personalities with slightly different names, like Kirk Herbstreit.
Yeah.
They'd call like they'd have someone in the credits named Kirk Henry. I'm like,
so they would get the awards?
No. So then they would have an award sent to them for Kirk Henry, and then ESPN would change the award to Kirk Herbstreit and then give it to Kirk Herbstreit. And they did it for like 37 awards.
What?
And they had to return
like an
all of
overcommitment.
them. Yeah, I don't know what the point of it was.
Do better, ESPN.
But anyways.
Yeah. Back to the Packers Cowboys on a completely different network, actually. Not sure what we talked about that. But Green Bay Packers, Jordan Love, baby. I feel so vindicated with this dude. I've been on this dude for the past 3 years, and he's showing out to be a future MVP. hey, we don't give out betting advice that often on the show, but if you're looking to make some money next year, put some money on Jordan Love for MVP because it's going to happen.
He had a good year, man.
He's played an MVP level the past month. But anyway,
That's 2 months.
he's going to Dallas to face off against the Cowboys. We know what Aaron Rodgers used to do to the Cowboys. You know, he owned two franchises, the Bears and the Cowboys.
Mhm.
Can Jordan Love truly be the successor? Let's find out. For anything, this Packers team is the youngest team to make the playoffs in nearly half a century. This Cowboys team, they should win this game. They probably will win this game. You know, Dak's playing amazing football, the best of his career. His defense is pretty good. Not quite as good as the past couple of years, but this offense is on a different level. But I think this could be a lot of fun. I think Green Bay is going to come in there with a lot of heart, a lot of passion. I think they're going to want to keep this close. But give me the Cowboys in a fairly high-scoring game. I'll say the Cowboys win 30-27. I think Jordan Love has a great game. But Joe Barry's defense, in a true encapsulation of this year, lets Jordan Love down. I think the Cowboys make it to the divisional where they can hopefully avenge what they've been looking for the next couple of years, last couple of years.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I think that the Packers will keep it close. Their offense has looked really good. Love's been great. Their wide receiving core needs to be studied.
Yeah.
Where do they find these guys?
incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, is Christian Watson will play?
He's
or-
not, but yeah,
or he's not
he
gonna
may
play,
not
right?
play, but
Okay.
it seems like they don't even need him.
Yeah, I
honestly.
mean, Jaden Reed, Dontavian
Steven
Wicks.
Wicks.
I don't know
Bo
who that
Melton?
is.
Bo Melton.
Um,
That's a real guy, by the way.
Aaron Jones looks great too.
Mhm.
He looks like he's been
Tucker
playing well.
Kraft.
Tucker Kraft. So
Also
offense looks
badass
great.
name.
The defense, yeah, I don't know what Barry is doing there, honestly.
I mean, they have occasionally
I was
good
about to
games.
say, and
Yeah.
they have the talent too. I mean, you have
Yeah.
Jair Alexander, Quay Walker, Kenny Clark,
Rashawn Gary.
Rashawn Gary. Yeah, so I mean, you have all the pieces you need there. Maybe they can piece it together, but with the way this Cowboys team has been playing, their offense is just too good right now. And I think Micah Parsons can have a big game, put some pressure on him, on Jordan Love, and force him to a few mistakes. Like you're talking about earlier, experience matters in the playoffs, and all the Cowboys haven't been able to get over the hump. They do have some experience and a lot more than the Packers do right now, so I'll pick the Cowboys. I'll call it 30-20.
McCarthy, every year in the playoffs, he finds a way to outdo himself. And I feel like looking at this game, becoming the first 2 seed to lose to a 7 seed, I think
it feels right.
might be his next trick out of his hat. I think the Packers are going to come into this game. We're going to see LaFleur laying pretty much all of his cards on the table. He's going to be pulling out all the stops. It's going to be a dangerous, young, hungry team that has really nothing left to prove. They've already exceeded their expectations under Jordan Love, and they're just going to be playing free and loose. And I think that's dangerous for a team coached by McCarthy that tends to shrink in these types of situations, especially Dak as well. Dak hasn't been the best in these scenarios before. And I know that at some point it feels like they have to break off, that they have to get that monkey off their back. But maybe the monkey is just there to stay, man.
Maybe they are the monkey.
Maybe they are the monkey.
I will say, before you get your prediction, this feels like last year. I mean, it's a very different team, but they were playing the Buccaneers.
Mhm.
They were much better than the Buccaneers. We all knew that. But a lot of people, including me, picked the Buccaneers because they were like, it's Tom Brady, it's the Buccaneers. They
Are you
look
calling
good
Jordan Love
occasionally.
Tom Brady? Because I could get behind that.
No,
I could get
okay,
behind
let's
that.
it's the same concept though, like we think that, and we're like, oh, it's the Cowboys, they choke sometimes.
I think the Packers are in a better shape.
I
Than the
agree.
Bucs were
The
last
Packers
year.
have a much better coaching staff. I mean, on the offensive side of the ball.
I think so,
Yeah.
but it's the same vibe where I think we underestimate the Cowboys just a little too much when they're a really good football team that's closer to the Super Bowl than a first-round exit,
That
in my
really,
opinion.
the Niners just own at this point. That's if I'm being honest, I think the Cowboys hate for McCarthy gets a little out of hand. I alluded this earlier too. McCarthy, yeah, he can be kind of a dunce sometimes, but getting this team to 3 straight 12-win seasons. I mean, come on, we applaud. I mean, I'm bringing on Mike Tomlin here, but we applaud
Mhm.
Mike Tomlin for getting this team to 9 wins every single year.
Mhm.
But McCarthy seems to be graded on a different curve because he has
Just because the rosters are just so different.
Right, but I mean, I'm just saying there's plenty of coaches throughout the league who've underachieved when having a seemingly elite quarterback. I just don't think
Listen,
McCarthy should be
I
on the hot
agree.
seat if he loses. And if we're being honest, he really has just lost to the Niners, which have been consistently the best team in the NFC for the past 5 years or so.
I agree, but I'm judging him as a coach in this sense with how he performs in the playoffs. You know, I don't want to take away from the respect that I would give him for what he does in the regular season. And it is like, you know, regular season games, like, they're not like insignificant.
Yeah.
They are tough to win. It's tough to put together those 12-win seasons, but I still don't have faith in him as a playoff coach.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about this, Kamil, but like it's almost like I think NFL teams need to like really be looking at coaching the way that sort of the NBA does sometimes.
Yeah.
Where like NBA teams will move on from a coach if they can't get it done in the playoffs. I mean, that happened with my Suns. They fired Monty Williams because he couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And I mean, like you look at a team like the Cowboys who are ready to win a Super Bowl now with this roster, and if Mike McCarthy can't get it done, if he gets knocked out in the first round, then yeah, you have to consider bringing in Belichick, who has a championship pedigree.
I guess, yeah.
But anyways, not to interrupt your prediction again, but what are you calling this one then, Kamil?
I'll go Packers in a shootout, 34-31.
Damn, that would be a fun
Alright.
game. That would truly be Jordan Love would truly become Aaron
We're
Rodgers.
getting a Fox Classic here.
Yeah.
Camille, we've predicted 4 games. You've got 3 upsets right now so far.
I want some craziness.
All right. This is my most anticipated game of the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I think for all 3 of us maybe as
Yeah.
well. You couldn't write a better script than this. Matthew Stafford returns to Ford Field in their first playoff game in nearly 30 years. Jared Goff facing his old team, Sean McVay and the Rams. I mean, it's just both these quarterbacks, amazing story between them.
Yeah.
It's being played at Detroit. Sunday Night Football. What more could you ask for? Detroit is favored by 3. I think, honestly, both of these teams are really talented. Both of these teams are capable of making runs. I think it's going to be a really fun game, especially because both these defenses are not that great either, especially the Lions defense, and both these offenses are, I'd say top 3 in the conference maybe. So I'll just say we talked about experience in the playoffs, and we talked about how much that matters. I think the Lions are going to come out of here with a ton of passion, a ton of excitement. I just don't think their defensive personnel is up to this challenge. I think Matthew Stafford, I think Sean McVay are going to come in here with an amazing game plan. They're going to have this offense ready. They're going to be firing all cylinders. And I think the Rams win a shootout, an absolute shootout. I'll say 38-35. I think it's going to be a fun game. But I think just the Rams offense, I like what Sean McVay brings to the table. I think he has the coach advantage, and I think you have the quarterback advantage. And oftentimes that's what wins in the playoffs. So I think it's going to be a fun game. I can't wait. But I'd be happy if either of these teams win. Honestly.
No, these are 2 really easy teams to root for. Like you said, script is insane in this one. But I think, I know I think the secondaries for both of these teams is definitely rough. It's definitely weak. But, I mean, the Lions have the number 1 run defense in the league. The Rams have Aaron Donald on the line, which I think is always a
Kobe Turner,
always a forward.
defensive rookie of the year. Exactly.
Who was Kobe Turner?
Go ahead.
He just won Player of the Month.
Rookie
Rookie of the Month.
And he should win defensive rookie. The edge
defense?
guy.
Oh, yeah, edge guy. Don't they have someone else named Kobe? Oh, they have Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
He's cornerback. Anyways, I know ball. Don't worry. I know ball. But yeah, I think for the same reasons that you said, I think this Rams offense is really clicking right now. Puka Nacua, Oroy, in my opinion, still, and Cooper Kupp are a very dangerous duo. Matt Stafford's looked really, really, really good these last few weeks.
Dark horse MVP.
Very dark horse, but I think
dark horse.
extremely dark horse.
It's not like a stallion or something.
I feel like people just will name an MVP favorite and then just be like, oh, he's a dark horse. That's not what a dark horse is.
This is an actual dark horse.
Yeah,
though.
it's
I
a
feel
dark
like
horse.
he's quite a dark horse.
Yeah, but dark horse is like someone who has a reasonable chance of winning the award at some point.
No,
You won't win it.
Okay, well, a man can dream.
Okay. But I think with the way he's been playing, I'm leaning Rams. But also at the same time, this Rams team almost lost to the Giants 2 weeks ago. I don't know how much I trust them, but I don't know. They had the experience. I'll go with them. We'll say 27-24. But I don't know. It's close. It's close. The Lions are playing really well too, and they have threats on every part of their offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Rams are that team of the year that you don't want to give them. You shouldn't have let them into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sure, they struggle in the regular season a bit. Not the best schedule at times. I think they're 3-6 at one point.
Yeah.
But you should not have let them into the playoffs because now what you have is Sean McVay and Matt Stafford with a chance of making a run to the Super Bowl. And it doesn't matter anymore what they did in the regular season. Whatever happens, they're there. They've been here before. They know what to do. They have the young offensive talent. It's a defense that can play well, that has started to play better. And I think the Lions are just a year removed from serious contention. I think they needed this 1 year of, getting that monkey off their back. We said it before, of winning that division. I don't think they're ready to go on a deep playoff run just yet. I think Campbell and that coaching staff and really the roster as a whole needs playoff experience because even your oldest vets on the Lions haven't even sniffed the playoffs in their careers. So I think this game will be important for them. I think it'll be a tough, close game. Lots of fireworks on both ends. I think the Rams will win 28-24. Gonna be a nice game. But again, the Rams, I think the NFC made a mistake letting them sneak in. And I'm not going to give too much stock to that.
You're acting like it's a committee. Like
I know. Pretty much. They could decide.
Like the powers that be, the Niners, Cowboys.
They could have beaten them.
Yeah.
And I also don't put too much stock in that Giants win. I'm not going to penalize them for getting a close win in December.
Because then we need to penalize the Bills for a lot. By that logic.
But,
which I do.
Teams play hard in December.
Yeah.
You don't really find much blowout wins across the league. That's just the nature of the league at this point. And I'm going to give them more props than points off for winning close games like that.
Wow, so all of us are picking the upset here. And speaking of that Giants team, they're not in the playoffs, but they wiped one of these playoff teams last week. And that moves us to our final game of Wild Card Weekend. The Eagles. If we're talking about limping into the playoffs, the Eagles have been amputated into the playoffs currently. They're lacking an arm and a leg.
Castrated as well.
Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Might cut that one out.
Who's gone?
Jalen Hurts, his fingers hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks for him. Can't really throw a football right now, apparently.
Yeah.
According to reports today. A.J. Brown did not practice today with a knee injury.
Oh, boy.
This defense is coached by Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
Don't really need to say anything more than that.
That's still obituary.
It's garbage.
Nick Sirianni is the coach of this team.
Mm-hmm.
Also not going to change between now and Monday. And the Buccaneers won 9-0 against the venerable Carolina Panthers. Look, I think both these teams are not that good, to be honest with you, especially when compared to the other 12 teams in the wild card playoffs. I could see the Eagles, getting right a little bit and winning this game because I don't think the Buccaneers, unfortunately, are that great of a team. I think Baker Mayfield's a nice story, not necessarily, a great team. Their defense has been playing better. But they also got diced up by Derek Carr the week before. So I don't really see much consistency with this team. Now, with the Eagles, I see a consistency over the past month of just being terrible. So I don't know. I'm going to take the Bucs here. I think it's an ugly game. I think it's going to be like 20-17. Maybe the Eagles. It's hard for me to believe that the Eagles are just going to completely collapse like this. Yeah. But maybe they just have. And the injuries don't help them at all either. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm going to take the Bucs in this one. Don't really know what to pick for this game, though.
Yeah, I mean, these teams played each other way back in, week 3 or week 2? Week 2. Obviously, far cry from what we're looking at right now. But, no, it was week 3 because the Bucs started at 2-0. But, okay. Let's
My bad.
I know, Paul.
My bad.
But that game, the Eagles ran all over the Bucs. That's what really won them the game. And their defense was stout. Everything's changed now, but I think if the Eagles ground game, I think, can still be dangerous. They just don't really hand the ball off to DeAndre Swift as much as I'd like him to anymore, which is a really
sick last week.
Oh, or not just last week, but over the course of this, over the course of these past few weeks, they haven't leaned on the run game nearly as much, which Hopefully they miraculously fix that come playoff time. Buccaneers are really inconsistent. They can't run the ball at all. They can pass occasionally. I mean, like, Baker's played a really good game a few times this year where he's gotten the ball to Godwin and Evans, and they've gone to work. But I don't know. He's just too inconsistent at times, and this offense is too inconsistent at times for me to fully trust them. I think the Eagles figure it out somehow. I think they take this week, they figure it out, they get healthy, they win the game. I'll say final score 20-17. It's not going to be a fun game. The Eagles, I think, will lose the week after. But I don't know. I just can't trust this Bucs team right now fully. And the Eagles have been here, and I think they get it together.
It's a tough call to make. You couldn't have shown me two teams that I have less confidence in.
Yeah. I really don't know what to think on.
I have more confidence in the Steelers, honestly, at this point than I have these two teams.
I agree. I agree.
So do I, just as a Bills fan. But I guess I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers, just because
none of us seem happy with our picks.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, okay.
I'll take them at home. I think Baker Mayfield is gonna have a bit to prove. He wants to show that he still has it. A little FU to the Browns for how they cut him off. And I think the Eagles are just, like you said, they're limping with no legs into the playoffs. It's just really tough. And I don't see them turning around. Maybe Super Jalen arrives and puts the team on his back.
They've been waiting for a while.
Yeah, I've been waiting a bit for that as well, and especially with the finger injury now. I don't know how likely that is. I think the Eagles lose an ugly one here. Let's say 19-17 Buccaneers. And I think it's going to force some major questions. That Eagles front office.
It's going to be a fun
coaching staff.
I think the impact of this game might be more entertaining than what actually happened in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, it's going to be a really fun wild card weekend. Maybe not Eagles Buccaneers, but I don't know. We've been surprised. We didn't think Skylar Thompson could get into a shootout with Josh Allen last year, and yet it was 34-31. So we're going to have some fun games this weekend. We're really excited for it. Be sure to check out our...
Should we do Super Bowl picks? Just a quick
one?
Just a quick one, just while we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Rohan, you can kick us off.
All right, I'll start. I'm going to say, it's kind of stock. I'll go Ravens-Niners. I'm really deciding between the Ravens and Chiefs out of the AFC. Let that one sink in, Kamil.
I don't care. You've been wrong so many times. That's a good thing for me.
Yeah, with how Rohan's predictions are going to be, it's going to be Steelers-Packers.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think both of these teams have, especially in recent weeks, shown that they're the class of their respective divisions. They've blown out opponents in their conference. They've blown out opponents in their conference. I think that it's very clear that they're the number one teams, and they're going to show it in these playoffs. So I'll give them into the Super Bowl. Same result, Ravens win.
I will take the Los Angeles Rams against the Buffalo Bills of New York. And you know what? I think the Rams will pull it together. Like I've been saying, I called this a couple weeks ago, and I think they're going to go on a good run. And I think the Buffalo Bills, I think we're going to see Josh Allen and Diggs very motivated, more so than they've ever been, to come out, play perfect, mistake-free football, and play to the potential that this Bills offense can play at. And I think once we get to that Super Bowl, it's going to be very nice that the Rams have already won a Super Bowl, so there's no, narratives against us or whatever. I really hope I'm going to see Josh lifting up that Lombardi, because I need that for my soul. I really do.
Kamil always says that nothing the Bills do will ever faze him.
Yeah.
I asked him what would happen if the Bills missed the playoffs last week. And he was like, that's fine. I've seen worse. But I think a Super Bowl loss.
A Super Bowl loss,
actually, that might be the thing that crushes Kamil.
And on that note, my Super Bowl prediction is the Buffalo Bills losing to the San Francisco 49ers. No, I'm not. That's actually it. Yeah. I thought about the Ravens. I thought about the Browns as well. And in the NFC, I think the Cowboys really could have the potential, if they get the proverbial monkey off their back. I really do think, I don't know if they can beat the Niners, if they're capable of it, but this offense is good enough to do it. So despite me saying all of that, I think the Niners are going to make it. I just think they're the best constructed team. They're the best coached team. They have a quarterback who plays amazing within the system. They have everything you need.
QB?
Well,
Is he-
I mean, we haven't seen him in another system. He's a damn good system QB.
Yeah.
But he plays well within what they want him to do, and the defense is great. On the AFC side, I think there's a lot of different arguments you can make. I think the Chiefs still are, a sleeping giant that could happen. I think the Ravens certainly have the best on paper, but for me, maybe it's just my hate for the Ravens, or it's just a gut feeling. I just don't think the Ravens are going to make the Super Bowl. I just don't. I don't know what it is. And I think the Bills, like you said, I think Josh Allen is going to be playing like a man possessed. I think the road for him, if they can beat the Steelers, is not necessarily favorable, but I like their chances, and I like their chances on the road as well. They're a good road team. So give me the Bills losing to the Niners in the Super Bowl. Well, who knows if any of these will be right. Shree usually gets these right, if we're being honest. At the beginning of the playoffs, he predicted Bengals-Rams a couple of years ago. So we'll see what Shree says. Maybe he's our Nostradamus of the podcast. But thank you guys so much for listening. Please check out our Instagram if you want to see how we got to our Super Bowl picks. Please check out our Instagram for our playoff brackets that should be coming out
Soon.
Within the next couple days.
I would hope so, considering the playoffs start.
Yes, they'll be out by Saturday by 4:30. So please check out our Instagram for that, as well as other contents. We are approaching the end of the season. We have a lot of fun stuff with end of season rankings, and once we get to the draft, all of the stuff in draft and free agency as well. Thank you guys for listening. My name is Arjun Rohan.
I'm Kamil Mdani.
And I'm Rohan Patel.
Kamil, you should have gone last,
I
but
like
we'll
that.
see you next week in the divisional round.